Jason Isbell and the 400 unit. WEATHERVANES. If the album cover didn't make that obvious what the title is. But, anyways. Old country act. Very well established in terms of that. I normally don't talk country, but technically was part of a southern rock act in the Drive-By Truckers. And I did talk about that last record, by the way. Now, also, I talked about reunions and mentioned them in one of my top of the year back in 2021. Whenever that or the Chris Stapleton record came out, because I had them both on that list. Yeah, I think it was that one. Or was it 2020? I'm not sure. Sure, to be honest with you. You may have to fact check me, because I need to fact check myself sometimes. But regardless, I know I had them pretty much in my top 10 reunions. Of course, I was looking forward to this, and eventually I was going to talk about this. Apparently, I didn't fully realize he was part of Drive-By Truckers. I need to fully do my research on that. Though, apparently, his wife, Amanda Shires, who also had a feature on the Mass First 20 album I talked about last week, which came out the week before that, but vacation, whatever, regardless. And sonically and production-wise, this album is pretty... I feel like this record sonically seems to want to go back into the direction of Nashville sound, more so as it seems to have a little more grit to its production. It's not as polished as Reunions, which worked for Reunions as far as I was concerned. As the first impressions of my time with Isbell in general, that was great. I mean, and the thing with this and most country, it's a lot about the lyricisms. And that's definitely a lot of what's going on with Isbell here. Did you ever love a woman to death with something in her eyes like flipping off a light switch? He dies, but you gotta find a reason to carry on. Or did you ever catch her climbing on the rooftop higher than a kite, dead of winter in a tank top? I don't with you, baby, but I won't leave you alone. I mean, there's so much to unpack. I don't have lyricism even on this one song alone. Holy shit, I don't have time to get through all of it on this one review. I'll tell you what. Even King of Oklahoma's interesting. I think sonically that's more in my... I would say this is more rock adjacent enough. He does fit sort of in the southern rock realm, but this is still kind of more old country in that regard. So... as in the same way as you would expect from, like, Drive-By Truckers. That one dealing with just Deathwish being about being in a very unfortunate situation of a relationship that not being able to leave. And then King of Oklahoma, unfortunately, things change. A lot of this involves a lot of situations of lyricism involving trying to get through life and unfortunately having to rely on prescription drugs to get through life, and eventually even to the point of him reminiscing about the days before he needed to do so, and she used to wake me up with coffee every morning and I'd hear her. She would slide across the floor. She used to make me feel like the King of Oklahoma, but nothing makes me feel like much of nothing anymore. A lot of the usual things that when people used to think of the more traditional country being a little more depressive. Technically, it goes that direction, but it's not without its merits of just good writing in general. I mean, you could tell his Bob Dylan singer-songwriter influences here, but clearly he actually can sing better than Dylan, obviously. Even one of my favorites in here is like Strawberry Woman's great. I've heard from a buddy of mine who's more known to have liked artists like Drive-By Truckers and even used to what Isbell has been doing over the years, and has claimed that the track Middle of the Morning, one of the singles that was rolling out of this album, Middle of the Morning, was not one of the strongest, but sonically I get why it's placed where it is, following up a track like Strawberry Woman, which is one of his more kinder types of tracks that would probably be easier to... There's a... Blowing through the laundromat, there's a young man crying in a cowboy hat. He's got square-toed boots, so he ain't for real. It's 5 minutes on a pedal steel, and at that place in Post where they were, where you were thick-cut bacon on Texas toast. Perry was popping up to see that. Sitting next to me, Strawberry Woman sitting next to me. Wake up slow. It was Friday night 2 hours ago. I'd sell the farm to smile. Well, it just happened if we wait a while. I may go stay out in the woods sometime apart. It's good. I've been... Strawberry Woman and an old guitar. Strawberry Woman and an old guitar. I mean, just one of those nicer, more folkier types of tracks, the way he's going off on this one. Middle of the Morning's more about, I think, kind of being a hermit a little bit. More like a hermit, and for so long, to the point where it's... And his vocal delivery is great on this thing, to where it's hard to not want to listen to this. And sonically, I get why it's following that up to be like a good ease and tension, because once you get to Save the World, that, my God. My wallet in the hotel room, they barely let me on the plane. Get a chance to check the news, somebody shot up a classroom again. And when you said the cops just let him die, I heard the shaking in your voice, and for a moment you began to cry. Then I heard you make a choice. We can find a time to fall apart, say the names of all the dead. I'm still dreaming in my heart of hearts, but something's changing in my head. Swear you'll save the... And because the chorus goes, swear you'll save the world when I lose my grip. Tell me you're in control. Swear you'll save the world when I start to slip, because you'll be the first to know. Balloon popping at the grocery store, my heart jumping in my chest. I look around to find the exit door, which way... He hears the best. The kid's looking through the candy aisle. School's starting in a week. He says, lovely child, I'm too terrified to speak. Can we keep her here at home instead? Can we teach her how to fight? Something's changing in my head. Something's drowning out the light. And going back to, of course, the chorus for the rest of the song. But just... You know, just the dealing of school shooting and him having to go through his head as a father to his daughter, thinking that's what he has to do. And the fact of how school shootings and just mass shootings in general has become, once again, just like it used to be prior to the pandemic, a thing, and just having to deal with the fear of having to send your kid to school wondering if that school's the next mass shooting. I mean, just... it's still relevant to this, just still super relevant, this song. I mean, the other songs are pretty good too, if you insist. But yeah, Save the World's probably the biggest highlight in terms of like lyricism and just the content of it. Cast Iron Skillet's another great one as well. I believe one of my favorites that is more in the rock, more closer to my rock and roll lane would be definitely When We Were Close. Volunteer's pretty good. White Beretta's definitely an interesting track as well. Veresta Hill, it's more rockers for me were like When We Were Close and This Ain't It. And Miles is a very long 7-minute little thing that does go into some interesting territories and does get a little almost bordering progressive rock in the way it does its unless that's kind of something involved with progressive country to a degree. But with some of this instrumental switch up for a brief period, up until it does eventually go back to what started this whole thing, with Miles. But overall, guys, again, I don't think Isbell misses. He never seems to not write a bad song. Some albums may be better than others, I guess, in his respects. I do think that this is a better choice of production. I don't feel like it's massive of a sense of urgency as what I felt out of Reunions, and the songwriting is... I wouldn't say he has a song nearly... aside from Save the World, there isn't exactly a song that's nearly as potent as something along the lines of like the songs that he got nominated for, like If We Were Vampires, or or White Man's Town, which definitely shows his liberal tendencies on that track. For that record, Nashville Sound. If you haven't heard that, that's definitely... production-wise, it's a bit on the grittier side and a little more lo-fi. But this one isn't as... It has that certain grit to it that's there from that record, but it's not as low... But it still has the more polished up sort of thing with Reunions. It's a good balance, production-wise, I think. I do think the songs sit better with it. And overall, I think Isbell's one of the better artists that are involved in country or at least one of the bigger names that have proven themselves through alternative country and just the more underground sense of country that has had some slight mainstream influence, that has some influence towards some mainstream. I think he had a big song, but I can't remember what it was when he was either starting out or before the 400 unit was even forming. I'm trying to think of what it was, but you can tell me in the comments that if you remember that, because I know I heard an Isbell song before, but that managed to reach mainstream, but I couldn't think of what it was. But regardless, overall, Horns Up, possible masterclass. Definitely, once again, finding a possible way to be in my best of the year, as he finds a way to do so. Since I guess Nashville Sound, or even before that, or at least since I've heard, he just does it again. He just knows how to do it. It just doesn't seem to be able to miss. In spite, Nashville Sound's lyricism and all that stuff, kind of keeping people in country from... Because the conservative Hollywoodized form thing that's going on in Nashville is still a thing, and especially in the way of how there's some of the other liberal bullcrap from Hollywood seeping into it, but more in the politics end and not in... or at least not nearly enough to allow Isbell to have the mainstream pull that he should have with the way he writes stuff. And yet we're still getting your Morgan Wallens. It's just fucking hell, dude. Just, seriously, Last Night fucking sucks. Hell, I'd still get this 10 times out of 10 over that Hardy mother effer. That, seriously... What? I'm still hearing people are jamming that one song he put out, and they should probably already be stopping doing so after that terrible performance he had at WWE, to the point where WWE had to apologize. That guy. We need more of Isbell, is what guys like Isbell and Stapleton, and what Sturgill Simpson used to put out, is what I'm saying, and the closest thing we've gotten so far is Zach Bryan and Tyler Childress right now. And that's why I'm having frustrating times with country, right? With what's going on in country music. And this is one of the few glowing examples of something that's genuinely great and masterclass certified even. And I hope y'all had a chance to check this album out and give it a chance if you haven't already. Because yeah, it is for me, just... Well, anyways, what did you guys think of this album? Leave a comment below, let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully, I'll be talking about Spider-Man by that point. But anyways, take care, y'all.